Under Tim's area, in list management, he looks after all the player contracts. So he's about recruitment and retention. And the key person under Tim is Barry Prendergast, who is the recruiting manager. He does a great job. Very happy with the work he's doing. And so that working with, and then we've got under here a team of recruiters all over Australia, including Gary Burley, who's a full-timer in regard to this, basically monitoring every level of football and every recruiting opportunity. We break this into 3 markets. The first one is the sort of the main market in regard to drafting, which is TAC Cup, West Australian Footy League, all those sorts of things. The secondary markets, and we've got a little bit of got a couple of little wins out of the secondary markets when you consider, say, what's happening with Liam Jarrah and Aussie Wanamiri. And the third market's really opening up at the moment, which is overseas, where we're seeing clubs actually recruiting from those areas. So that all comes under here. This might come up. Mad Dog is my messiest ever whiteboard if we're not careful. So what I'll do is I'll move the commercial. I'll move these guys over here a bit so we get a better idea. Under the commercial area here, I have a full-time person who's called the chief commercial officer, who is John Poulakakis. He's done a great job. And basically, under all of this, you're then saying, okay, well, you've got what we call our in terms of the commercial side of it, which is sponsorship and sort of other commercial relationships, such as supporter groups, coteries, foundation heroes, these sorts of things. And the person who looks after this is Peter Maynard. And working in all of this area, very important guys, Tom McClure works in this area and does a great job, and he's also got a team, and mainly younger staff who work with him. And again, we're going to look at adding resources into this area. Then we've got on over here, which is more the sort of the supporter area, and this is going to change, I reckon, over time and as we grow, because also and Jen Watt's the person who looks after this. I never even really know what Jen's title is, because Jen ends up looking after all things regarding to brand, regard to our supporter, our membership, and all that sort of stuff, and she's a great asset for our club. But coming under here is all our branding, which includes our communications, which have just brought on Matt Bergen, for example, in regard to that, into that area. And the man behind the camera here, Mad Dog Matty Goodrop, is into that area as well, doing a great job. And we've got probably Marty Cox probably crosses over into this area and also into membership, but Fiona Truitt works in regard to this stuff here as well. And once again, really good quality young staff working very hard. But the interesting thing which we've brought in now as part of all this, and it probably works through Jen, but it's almost becoming a little bit separate, is the work that we do with community, which is Debbie Lee. And we've really grown ourselves in this area, and I see this as a critical focus, as I mentioned before, not only in regard to growing our supporter base, but giving education to young people in regard to this area. So the other area, sorry, under the football I should have mentioned here whilst I think about it, is the personal development aspects of all of this as well, which includes Ian Flack, who's personal development coach, but we've got psychologists, we've got a number of people here. So the community obviously ties in very, very, very closely in regard to that. And under all of this area, we have an events team. And the events guys basically are the group who help these guys establish our, whatever their particular objectives are in their area. So we've got Trudy, who runs this, with Belinda and Mallory, and we've got some, again, really happy with the quality of young people we've got, and we get great feedback now on just how this has improved. But even match day itself is an event, and we're working, and there's all these sort of sub-events happening, whether it's a President's Club, whether it's coterie, whether it's what's happening out on the ground. There's just stuff happening all the time in regard to that. The other key area, obviously, in branding is media. With Ryan Larkin, who manages that with Jen, and our media exposure from last year to this year has increased by 150%, and that's just been a very strong objective, because that if the media is up 150%, that then impacts on what we can actually do there and what we can actually do there, because that means that Hancock and Kaspersky and Volvo and companies who are on the Guernsey are up 150% as well. So that becomes a critical component of it. So over time, this area here will grow and grow significantly, because these guys here are creating more opportunities for them, communities creating more opportunities for them, and that becomes then, you know, the mechanism by which we can actually build and grow a club. All right, up here, and I'll just whack it up here at the moment, is the operations. And I reckon probably been one of the great recruits, our COO is Matt Green. You know, and there's that little thing, I think it's called the, what is it, mate, the yin and the yang or something like that, goes like that. I reckon that's that colour and that's that one. You know that one, Matt? Yeah. I reckon that's where Matt and I are. We've got a bit of yin and yang. So he's the person who basically keeps me on the straight and narrow in regard to all these things. And quite clearly, the first part of that is obviously our financial operations. We've got Mark Long and Chipper working in that area and doing a terrific job. But that's, you know, we had to turn around a situation where the club was losing $3 million a year to to try and bring that back into profit, and we're really pleased to have made profits in recent times. We're on track to make a good profit this year as well. So just getting really good structures and governance and processes, and we're a bit all over the joint when we first started in that. So that's been a real strength and something which we've really provided. But the other thing is also ensuring we've got great infrastructure within it all, and that includes our IT, and we've come from a long way back in regard to that. And all of these groups are very demanding of our IT, you know, whether it's our CRM systems here, or whether it's our membership systems, whether it's the footy technology, whether it's our player databases and all that. They're very, very demanding of our IT. And we didn't even have a full-time IT person here, but Richard Arnott does that, and he's really stepped up to that role, and including what we had to do over at AAMI Park. So that's been a terrific part of it, and also HR, you know, comes into that area to make sure that we have, you know, really good systems and processes to enable people to achieve. And again, we're coming from a fair way back in regards to that, and quite clearly, you know, facilities are a really key part, which is MCG, AAMI Park, Casey, and we've also got the Bentley Club and Leo in all of that. So there's a fair bit to organise in all of that, and that all comes under those areas. But once again, that relates to, in some cases, generating revenue. It's about also supporter engagement as it relates to the MCG, but also revenue. In Casey, AAMI Park's about providing outstanding facilities for our football guys, and Casey's about both great facilities, but also a means by which Debbie can grow the organisation as well, or or build those community programs in and around Casey. So that's a very broad brush look at it, and probably by the means by which I've actually described it gives you an idea that whilst we operate obviously within a structure and frameworks within it all, we're not totally prescriptive about it, and because the last thing that we actually want is someone turning around and saying, okay, you know, my little job's here, and I've got no interest in anyone else here, and I sort of half look after the person above me. Well, that doesn't work in footy clubs, I don't think. You know, that you need to have that real sort of deliberately nimble and flexible way of actually operating. But the fundamentals of good governance and good structure have to pervade. There's no question about that, and that's why we've got good, strong operators. So the people who directly report to me within all this are Tim, Chris, John, Matt, and Jen Watt as part of her role as CBT, our centre bounce team. She also sits in on our senior managers meetings as well, as does Dean. So they're the guys who probably have the most accountability in regard to my role, but there's also a number of very senior people within the organisation who have strong accountabilities for critical parts of the organisation development. Okay, I think I've just nailed the messiest whiteboard of our 20 weeks thus far, but I hope it gives you some idea what's going on. Thanks very much.